talk about coaching info sessions and what they're all about. Okay. One reason that I love hosting coaching info sessions is because it's the easiest way to invite to coaching. There was a season in my business where I used to invite to coaching without having a coaching info session, and it felt awkward. It kind of felt uncomfortable, and it felt like I didn't know where to go really when I was having a conversation. When you're running coaching info sessions, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a thing, it's an event that people can come to learn about coaching, and then they can make the decision whether or not they want to do it. There are so many ways that you can host a coaching info session, and then there are actually a lot of different topics that you can talk about within your coaching info session. But my favorite thing about it is I always have a way to invite to coaching. So my best tip for you is to put a coaching info session or sneak peek, whatever you want to call it, on your calendar for the month every single month. Personally, I like to do it at the end of the month. I like to hit Success Club first and then put my coaching info session in the third or fourth week, or do it both, to do it twice a month. Okay, so a couple ways you can run your coaching info session. Number one, you don't have to overcomplicate it. It could be as simple as a phone call with somebody. If you only have one person that wants to get in on your info session, you could do a one-on-one thing. A second way to do a coaching info session would be a Facebook group where you get a few people together, 2 or 3, and you do lives on a Facebook group that people can catch. It could be an all-day thing where you have them staggered, or it could be 1 hour long and you each go live one after the other. Another option could be a Zoom meeting. You plan a Zoom meeting at 7 p.m. on a Thursday night, and you invite people with the link to the Zoom. They come, you can see everybody, and you each have a topic. Each coach has a topic that they're covering, and you do like a live info session where they can ask questions back and forth. Another way you can do it, which is the way I'm doing it right now, is Marco Polo, which is a video chatting app. I really love doing it this way because you can chat back and forth. You don't have to do it live. They can come back and listen to it whenever they want to. And I also forgot to mention a good reason to do a Zoom is because you can record it and then send out the recording. So there are different ways to run your coaching info sessions. There is not a right or wrong. You need to figure out what brings you joy and what works well for you, and then do it that way, okay? Now let's talk about topics. What do you even talk about in a coaching info session? And I want you to know right off the bat, I think the best way to run it is to have 2 or 3 coaches in on it, so you can share topics and you can bounce ideas off of one another, okay? I would also keep that same group of people for several months in a row. That way you can perfect your coaching info session and you know you're running it together. I really think that's the best way to do it. And then the next thing I want to tell you is it doesn't matter if you're in your first month of coaching or your second month of coaching or you're 2 years in. Anybody really can run a coaching info session. So a couple topics that you talk about, okay? These are the topics that I've talked about in the past. Number 1, each person share a tidbit of your story. Why do you love coaching? What got you into coaching? And why do you keep coaching? Number 2, fears you had before you started coaching. What scared you the most? And how did you overcome that and eventually say yes to coaching? Number 3, what we actually do as coaches. What they really want to know is, what does the job look like? What are they going to do on a day-to-day basis? What are the daily activities of a coach? And break it down super simple, okay? Number 4, how we actually make money. Talk about commission and talk a little bit about team cycle bonuses. But in a coaching info session, I usually focus most on commission because that's what people usually make most of their money off of in their first several months, and you really don't want to overcomplicate it. And then number 5, you want to talk about what it's going to look like to get started. So the investment, what it looks like to make the investment back, and making sure they know that they're not going to be alone because they have you as a mentor and they have our whole team for team calls. They have our whole team to ask questions to, and they're never going to be alone. My biggest tip is don't overcomplicate it. I know it can seem scary to run your first one, but take action. Messy action is better than no action at all. And make sure you always put your coaching info session on your calendar at the beginning of the month. Like, put it on there. I mean, I always do them at the end of the month, but you know what I mean? When you're planning your month, put it on there. That way you don't skip it. It is so important that you're talking about coaching, inviting to coaching, and getting people the information they want to know.